So that we can do. Other than that, I can also use the record view or edit form, right? So in the record edit form, if I am not passing the record ID, it will behave as a create mode. If I'm passing the record ID, it will create as a edit mode. Sorry, it will behave as a edit mode. So the question is why I should use the record edit form and not the record form. Okay. The question is, yeah, I have record form. I have record form edit. Okay, let's say in the create mode, record create, in record create mode, I can use any of them, right? And also in the record edit mode, I also record edit mode, I can also use this one. So here in this case, pass the record ID. Okay, and here I don't pass the record ID. So same form can be used in both the context. But why I can use any of them, right? So why I should use this and not this one in create mode, for example, or why I should use this one and not this one? Any idea? I think we discussed that one last time. This is because why? Have we seen the record edit form example? If you take this example, let's say, if I look at this example, so what I'm doing, I'm passing the object ID, I'm passing the record ID, and passing the field names, right? And if you look at this edit form, I'm again passing the object ID, record ID, and the field name. It's the same, right? But what is the difference you see in both this? So if I just copy paste this one, this is for my record ID, edit form, and this is my record form, right? So these two, I'm using this. This will give me the same outcome if the fields are similarly used. But what difference you see here? Can anyone tell me? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Why you guys are so silent? I mean, don't think that you are doing the Lightning Web Component training by just looking at this.
Here
What?
in this record edit form is there here used CSS, but in record form CSS is not used.
Right. So here in this record edit form, we have used the Lightning input button. We have used the CSS. So which means I am applying some style, right? But in the record edit form, I have not applied any style. So now, let's say you need a three column orientation to render the to display the columns in a component, or maybe you need some specific design that you have to apply, right? In that case, you have to use the Lightning record edit form, not this one. So if I go back to my slide, it says, look, if you see the comparison, right, it's all same you can do, but you see custom layout for fields is only available in view and edit mode, not here. Custom rendering of record data, it's only available of this, not here. So how you display the record and the data is something available in the view and edit mode, not in the lightning record form, right? Clear, guys?
Yes.
Okay. So now lightning record form we have talked before, how to use it, how we can do different things here. Uh, lightning view form also I think we have talked. I mean, it is just using different lightning based components and then um, render the fields accordingly. So we'll take some examples here and then we'll see how it looks. So I think last time what we did is this one. So last time we have seen that my show toaster was not working for some reason. I still have the problem in my Visual Studio and browser. Somehow I have to probably refresh or clear all my caches. uh, I will do it. uh, I have a lot of different informations captured, that's why I'm not planning to uh, reset my cache data, but I'll do it today if it doesn't work. So if you look at this one, right, this is simply what I'm doing is I'm using the lightning record edit form. hmm, and object API name is something I'm passing. So here you see the object API name is what I'm giving as at API, which means if I'm using this component into some other component, I can pass the API name based on which record page or which page I'm using. But in this example, what will we do? We will put that component into my record page, so that from record page Salesforce can automatically understand what is my object, which object the record belongs to, and then it behaves accordingly. Okay, please stop me if you have any questions. I'm going slow so that you guys can understand what I'm doing. And here what I'm doing on success, I'm trying to do something. So that's why I'm writing this handler. So I want to handle something after the record is uh, updated or created based on which operation I'm doing. And now lightning input field is the field that I'm using, and I have bind. Uh, I did the bind with this name field, and name field is what? Name field is this name field. I have got it from the schema contact.name, and this name field I have assigned it to name field, and this name field I do the bind with this lightning input field component. And then I have got the submit, the button of type submit, and the label is save, and this variant I have used, and that's it. Now in the JS file, what I have done in this in the event, it after the record is successfully created, it this handler is called, and in the handler this component passes the whole record. So if you look at this one, right, the event dot detail, this the detail the detail field in the event, the um, entire record is stored. So that's why I'll show you. uh, I am trying to display the record that I am getting in this event. into a JSON format. That's why I have done console.log JSON stringify payload. This is the uh, console log statement that you can write to display the object in a JSON format. Hmm? And then I'm also trying to log my payload.id. I mean, which so after the creation or the updation is done, what is the ID that I received? Hmm? And then I'm using a toaster. You see, I I have imported the show toaster event. So that's what I'm uh, instantiating a toaster with a title and the message called this record has been created with the success variant. So it will come in the green display, and then I'm dispatching the event so that it can be seen in the screen. Okay. Any question, guys, here? Anything that you have not understood so far what we have discussed in this code? Okay. You are not talking means I'm assuming that you have understood. Hello? Anyone? Any question?
Yes, so
Gaurav, you're trying to.
yes, Suman, I understood.
Okay. So now let's see if I run this component, what happens? Okay. So I go to the contact page, for example, because I have used the contact, right? So here you see this component is coming. If I do the edit page, you see this one. So name in contact has, it's a complex attribute. It has three fields in it. One is the salutations, Mr., Mrs., Miss, and then first name and last name. Okay. So that is the component record view I'm using. Now if I go back, you see, hmm, so I can use this one. Let's say Mr. and then Suman and then Haldar, right? Okay, let me do the inspect on this one. Hmm. So you will see when I save it, right? When I save it, I'll see few things. I'll say console.log Suman4. This is just for my logging purpose because I told you, right, I have some problem in my browsers. So I just wanted to make sure that I'm getting the right component, uh, right component displayed. And then also I'm doing the uh, payload. I'm displaying the payload in the JSON format. And I'm also displaying the ID from the payload. Okay, and this is the final message that I'm displaying through the toast show toast event. Hmm. So if I go back here and then do a save, see what are happening. I'm clicking on the save. See, it says the contact successfully created. So this is what you saw it, and in this you see Suman4 is displayed. The whole JSON is displayed here. Hmm. And then this is the record ID from the JSON. So if I just copy this JSON, hmm, if I copy this JSON and then let's say JSON formatter, hmm, there are a lot of JSON formatter available. Let me see. What is this here? So you see this JSON formatter, right? If I just copy paste here the whole thing, on the right side you'll see this is my JSON. So the API name is contact. What are the fields available, right? All these are coming, and I should be finding one as ID. Yeah, you see this one. ID is coming directly here, right? So if I want to, let's say display any field, so I may have to go this via fields and dot the name, no dot the first name, for example. That's how I can get all these information. You can play around it how to display things. So this is the whole JSON format, whole JSON for this record. I am getting through this event. To this event, and then detail is where I get the entire record. Okay, and then from there I can display whatever information I want to display. That's how this is working. So if I come back here, and then do a refresh, you see this is again showing blank. This is again showing blank, though I have created one record called Suman Haldar here, right? This is again showing blank, which means if I am again, which I if I want to do it again, then it will save a record. So this is opened in a create mode because I have not used the record ID. Because I have not used the record ID. So let's say, let me go back here. Let me go back to your favorite page and then look at it. So let's say I am using this one. I'm just planning to use this record ID. And then do like this, and in my JavaScript I'm doing this API record ID, right? Can you guys tell me what will happen now if I deploy this source? What do you think? What should happen when the page loads? Anyone? Anyone? Any? It's okay to answer wrong, but at least you try. Okay, so if you look at this one, right? So here this component is accepting the record ID, okay, which this record ID is declared here as a public property, public attribute, right? So if I'm using this component in my record page, it will automatically calculate the record ID and the object API name. So if you look at the example before, it was calculating the object API name because it was in the contact record, right? So likewise, it will also get the record ID name from the record I have this component on. Okay, so if I deploy the source and then see, and then if I go refresh, okay, so now because I am accepting the record ID from this record page, this should automatically populate the first name by considering the record ID. Okay, let me refresh. Yeah, did you notice? Did you notice the behavior, guys?
Yes.
So it is by default opening as a edit mode, and then because I'm using this in my record page, it is trying to get the record ID from this page and then populate the information accordingly. So in your case, if you want to use the edit form in create mode or the record or the update mode, it will depend on how you are, whether you are passing the record ID or not. If you are passing the record ID, which means it will work as a update mode, or else it will work as a create mode if you are not the record ID in the component. Okay. So see, it's all same. Template, record, edit form, record IDs are being passed. This is hard-coded record ID. But if you look at my case, I have get it from the JavaScript. Okay, it's all same, using many fields and then the button and using it accordingly. So if you look at this creation of the record, it is not passing the record ID. It is just sending the object API names, nothing else. This is the example that we took for the create record. And handle success we have discussed. You can do anything after the record is successfully created or updated. This is again this is on the account object, account record. Object is account, and it is trying to create a record with the name. And because it is not passing any record ID, it will behave as a create mode. Here it will behave as a edit mode because I'm passing the record ID. This is all example, you can look at it. All examples you can look. If I go here in this developer guide and working with Salesforce data, Lightning Data Service, LDS, you can here also see these examples. So load record, edit record, create record. You can use any of the example and then play with all these components. They have given all different ways to create the component. You just have to write down and then practice accordingly and then use it in your project. Okay, I'll pause for 2 minutes. Sorry, not 2 minutes, maybe 1 minute. Any question before I move on to my next topic?
No, Suman.
Yeah.
No question.
Okay, no question. Good. So for interacting with record, we have started with record, Lightning record form, and to provide stylings and render the fields and the data the way I wanted. I have used the Lightning record edit form or the Lightning record view form based on whether you want to display the record in a read-only mode or not, right? And then I'm displaying this one. So now, if you have looked here, I have not used any Apex method yet. It is all through the Lightning data service. See, I'm importing the record. I'm doing it here, right? So far, whatever we have done, there is no apex involved. Now let's come to see. Let's come to see what happens, or how do I implement my component if there is a involvement of the apex method. Let's say uh, the requirement is not straightforward. You have to bring fields from many different places, and you need an apex method for that. Okay, and then how I can bind the apex uh, the the return of the apex method into my component. Let's see that. Okay. Okay, so now you have noticed that, in my previous cases, right, I have imported the schema for to use the field of an object, right? So in this example, what I'm doing is I'm using the name field of the contact object. That's why I wrote contact.name. If I'm planning to use, let's say, other field, let's say contact.phone or contact.email, so I have to import that field. Okay, so more field I need to use, I have to import all different fields in this context. So likewise, if I want to use uh, apex method, I have to import that apex method first, okay, and then do the rest of the things. So to do that, this is my syntax. So what I'm doing is I'm telling Salesforce that give me the apex class, okay, with which is defined here, the class name and the apex method. If you are using any namespace, you will use the namespace name. Otherwise, you don't have to mention anything. So the Salesforce, I'm importing the apex class, and the class name and the method name is defined into my JavaScript. And then I will use that in two different way. There are there are two major ways you can connect your apex method from your lightning component. One is called the wiring, and another is called the imperative. Wiring means you are wiring the method with the component, which means any changes happened, it will reflect, and you are not controlling. I mean, as soon as you are wiring the method, which means you don't need any trigger to to perform any action. It will automatically happen. If you are making some changes, it will reflect automatically. And imperative means what? You are triggering to connect to that method. So when you need to connect, it will connect. But through the wire, it will automatically connect. There is no such action needed to make the things happen. Okay, now let's see with an example. Okay, so there are things, I mean, you have to consider. I mean, the method must be static and either global or public. It has to be annotated. It should be it should annotate with the method. It should annotate with Aura enabled. And you have seen this one. Whoever has worked in the Aura component, you have seen that we have to declare. We have to annotate the method with Aura enabled so that it knows that it is exposed to the component, right? And because this slide was little older, that's why I had to initially write cacheable equal to true, but nowadays it is automatically, it is by default. I mean, by default cacheable equal to true. So it uses the cache to to send or exchange the data. You don't have to do anything different. Anything, I mean, you don't have to mention anything there. It will by default cacheable. Okay, but definitely you have to annotate the method with the Aura enable so that the system knows that this method is used for the uh, for either Aura component or the Lightning Web component, and then it will behave. It has some certain features specifically for the Lightning Web component and the Aura component, and it will behave accordingly. Okay. Now let us take some example here. So what I'll do is let me create one class here. So I right click and then create one Apex class. Okay. And I will write the class name as, let's say, contact controller. Okay, and I want to place it here. By default, it is giving me the basic class structure with the constructor. I don't need the constructor now, so I just deleted it. So it says public with sharing class contact controller. Okay. Now, what will I do is I will let's say write down I don't need to do this by default. So can someone tell me what I have done here? Hoping that you are clear on the Apex methods. So can any of you tell me what I have done here?
We are querying here ID name from contact where the limit is 10 and
Yeah.
storing in the
We are storing in get contact list, and we are using it.
Yeah, I'm not storing it anywhere. I'm saying through this method. So this method, I mean, this way you can read this one, right? You are saying you are asking this method to give me 10 contacts with this field information, right? So give me ID, name, title, phone, email from the contact, and I need 10, 10 records from here, right? So this is my function is doing. So let me deploy this one. Okay. So now, what is the name of the class? Can anyone tell me?
contact controller.
Okay, thank you. And what is the name of the method?
Get contact list.
Get contact list. So let me use the same record view JS, okay, and then I'll delete all this. Let's say okay. Where so let me just create a wire. Wire connect. This is what I'm using. Let me do. So here I will just mention so that I'll use it in my home page. So I'm just doing it from my home. So now, if I go back to my LWC and then wire connect, okay, this is my JavaScript. Sorry, this is my JavaScript here. So what I have to do, I have to import the class, right? So if I'm coming back here, and then we'll see this one, right? So what I'll do is I'll just import this. What I'm doing here is try to understand. I want to import the Apex class. And what is the class? The contact controller. Okay. I'll just copying and pasting contact controller. Okay. And then the name of the function is get list. And let's say I'm doing it as get cont list. This is how I'm importing. So now what I'll see is I will get the list. I am importing this method here so that I can use it. Okay. And then what I'll do is I will wire this method. I will wire this method. This see wire is not coming because it says look at this. The decorator which I'm using is not imported from the LWC. So I have imported API before. You have seen track is by default. Initially you also had to import a track for any changes to be reflected between JavaScript and HTML, but it is by default happening today. Wire is something that API is something that we have seen. So to use the wire decorator, I have to import this one. So what I'll do is I will write wire. So it will go out. Okay. Now can you guys tell me what is this?
Property.
Hmm?
Property.
Property. And property, what should I be getting here?
The contact list, 10 contacts.
Contact list, right? So I'm importing this, okay, which eventually return me the list of contact through this method, right? If you go and see this one, right? So what it is returning? It is returning a list of contacts, right? So this list of contacts, I will get it here. This list of contact, okay, I will get it here. So now, so far we are good, right? So I'm getting the list of the contact here.
It means contact is act here as a variable where we are storing that 10 list of contacts.
Right. So this is the property or the attribute. That's why it is called. That's why it is called varying a property. Okay. Which means I am varying a property, and then the property will be populated with the return of this method. Whatever I'm returning with this method. Okay. That's how I'm doing. And then I will use this contact the way I have used before, right? In my HTML, and we'll see how it is done. So if I go this example here and then look at the HTML, right? And if I just let me copy this one and then I'll let you know. So what I'm doing is I'm using a lightning card. Don't think much because we have used this one. This is the fun part. This is the part that we have to talk. So you have seen this one, right? How Apex returns the record. So if I'll show you later, but for the time being, this contacts holds all different return by the Apex method, but contact.data, because see, I mean, it is just a structure, right? So when I look at this one, contact, right? Contact can have successful message and can have the error message. I mean, while I was retrieving the record, I might get some error. So if there is any error, then I have to know that there is some error, right? So how the contacts are coming? One is the data, and if there is any error, an error also. Okay? And then in the data, I will have the list of contact, list of all contacts. If there is no error, then I will have this list in the data. If I have some error, then I will not get any data. So data would be blank here. Okay, let me write this way. Okay, so this is for the successful retrieval. And retrieval, and this is for error. Error. In that case, there will be no data. And here I'll have the error message. Okay. So now, so this is my JSON. It will come this way. So if I want to get the data, then I have to say contact.data. Okay. So now if I go back here and then look at this via HTML, so it says contacts.data, and contacts is what I have declared the contacts in my JS file. So this dot data gives me the data. And then I am running a loop on the data. Okay, so for give me, I'm running a loop for each contact. I'm displaying the contact ID and the contact name. Sorry, I'm not displaying the contact name, but this is the key. And this is the thing that I'm displaying. I can add some more. Let's say I do a minus and contact and let's say phone number. Okay, now let me deploy this to the org. So how many contacts I should be seeing here in this loop?
10. 10.
10. So it will fetch. So let's say if I do this one and go back here and then go to the setup. Sorry, not the setup. Let's see if I just open the developer console, right? And then if I go to my query editor and then run this query, it is giving me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? This is what I am getting in this query. So if I go to my home page and then let's say edit this page and then wire connect. Let me do it here. Let me do this one. What is this here? Okay, so now if I go back, oh, there is an error. What is that error? Let me check. Contacts. Did I do something wrong? Let me check this one first. It's not actually, probably not retrieving the, oh, maybe have I deployed this one? Okay. And now in the where I'm doing this, so let me go back and check. It's still giving me the error. So let's see what's the problem. So it is actually giving me this one. I'm wearing the get contact list. I'm not sure what is happening. Wait 1 minute. Huh? Let me back to this one. See. Can't be the case though. So what is the error I should see? Undefined. So public with sharing.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. Tell
Yes,
me.
Suman. Actually, you need to set cacheable is equal to true.
Do I need to? I mean, I think it is by default. It was there before. Maybe this is why it is not showing up. But it was there. I mean, it used to be there, but it is by default cacheable equal to true these days. But let me check that one.
So whenever we wire a property, we must set or
Oh, okay,
enable
okay.
cacheable is true. Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So see, wireable means what? I mean, uh, it does not it does not come to the it does not come to the apex method all the time. It reflects only when there is a change, right? But this cacheable to was used to be by default in LWC. But thank you. Let me check that one. So did I? See now this could be a problem in my browser. I mean, sometimes it doesn't reflect. I don't know why. What is happening? I still have this. Tell me, guys, now what's going on here? Hmm. This is strange, right? I am doing it content controller get list where HTML contacts dot data contact dot name, but why it is not coming? Hmm. Give me 1 minute. Hmm. This is absolutely strange. Where connections? Contact. Important contact controller get list contacts. No, I'm not finding any issues in this. There must be something else. Okay, so let's move on. Let me check what is the problem. So now, so far, what we have seen this one, right? This is the exact thing I have really don't understand this. See, it is absolutely the same thing. And probably for the extent where I get contact. Let me try one more time. You know what? Let me tell you. Give you one more try. Yeah, do you see this happening now? I'll tell you. I mean, I told you now. The problem is in my browser. I mean, there is no problem in this context. So these these are all same, right? Even if I, let's say, go back to my previous one, right, and then I do deploy. So it may not work. I forgot that one. It is happening now. So the only problem is I I don't know why it is happening. I have to right click here and then deploy source from to the org like this, because then only all the changes that I'm making is reflecting in the system. If I do from here, it is not working. So I have to check that why it is not happening. But this is the case so far. Okay. Do you understand, guys? Now all the 10 names are displayed here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And let me do one thing. Let me try to see if it works or not. Because I thought, I mean, the last update that had happened is, cacheable equal to true was there by default. Let me check that once. Okay. Maybe what you were saying is right, but this is what I knew. See, this is coming, right? So it is actually behaving with the cacheable equal to true feature by default. Now, let me tell you one more thing here. So you see, let's say if I go to the data table, you see the data table, right? This is my basic data table. Hmm? So let's say I want to use this data table and then see what they have done. Hmm? So to use the data table, let's say this one, right? If I go here, after the card, I'm using this data table, for example. Okay. So in this data table, what data I want to use? Can you tell me? I want to use I want to list down all the contact here in this data table. So
Contact,
what I should be writing here?
contact.
Contacts,
Contacts what? Only contacts?
dot data.
Yeah. So contacts dot data holds my data. So like this. Okay. And then I have to define what columns I'm looking for. Okay. So see how the columns are declared here. So the columns are declared like this. Okay. So here if I go and then do like this, so let's say level my customer. I want to display this as customer, and the field name is what? Field name is, let's say, name. Okay, field name is name. Okay, and then next is, let's say, title. Okay. So if I go here, label is, let's say, title, and then field name is also title. I don't need any. I don't need anything here. I don't want to define what type of field it is. And then let's say next is phone number is there, and then email is also. Let me say email. And the type is, let's say, I'm deleting this. Okay, so that's why I'm declaring the constant here, and then I have to declare. So this is my columns. So this column equal to this column, for example. So I'm just assigning this column into my field, and then I'm using it. So if I go back here, so I'm defining the what columns to be displayed in my data table and what is the data to be displayed. Okay, now if I just deploy the source, let's see what happens. Yeah, see, this is again giving me problem, right? So what I have to do is I will go here and then right click and then deploy. So I don't know, I mean, this is really giving me problem. I have to either individually do it or do it as a component level.
And also in the in the Apex class and the level of customer name, if field name is misses, typing mistake is there
Where?
in the customer level
In the JavaScript file,
in the
customer
JavaScript.
label, the
Yes, yes.
field name is wrong. Yes.
Field name is wrong. Yes.
This name.
And I think column field should also be annotated with wire or not.
No. It doesn't need to
No,
be
no.
there.
Okay.
No. So if I do it here, I will have to deploy it from here. So now if I go back and then do a refresh, still giving me data. This is really again strange happening. Context or data and columns equal to my columns, and I'm getting the columns from here. The same column I'm using. So the data is not coming, it looks like. Let me do one more thing. I hope in my next session I can clear all these problems. What I'm doing now. See. So if I okay, I'll just try one thing. I'm not sure what is happening, but Not be this thing, but still, I mean, I just want to try the way I tried yesterday before I came to this one. No, some other problem is happening. So it is giving me error, means the data is not coming somehow. Okay. So what could be the problem? So if I simply delete these things back, will my component work? Let's see. Then I'll know what is the problem and what I'm missing here. What did I do? Come on. Do you see this? I mean, it was working before, right? I just deleted all my things, all my stuff. So I have deleted all this. These are my contact. This is my JS file wire. Is it because of this one again?
So I think cachable is equal.
Check this one. Might be right. I mean, see, but it worked one time. Yeah, it might be. Let's see. Oof, yes. Okay. So I'll take your.
I think you have not deployed Apex class earlier. So
I have not deployed what?
Apex class before, after getting this out,
Maybe
before
might
getting
have.
this output. Yes.
Maybe let's see. Good that we are doing all these mistakes. You are also helping me learn. So do you see this now? The data table is displaying it. So this is displaying the customer in the level and all the names here and the titles, phone number, email ID. Right? That's how this is displayed. Do you get it?
Yeah, so
Okay. Now let's say if I go here and then let me go to this one. The developer guide, if I go here and then work with Salesforce, if I go here. So calling Apex method. Hmm. So this is what we talked. Okay. Now you see we have all used this one, these examples, right? And you were right. I think cacheability we have. I still have to declare. Thank you for letting me know that. I thought it was by default came. And you see all these are coming, right? And let's see what else. So and you see this example. Try this example by yourself. It is the same thing, but it is taking the parameter search key, okay, and then returning accordingly. Here you see they are wearing the find contact. Find contact is this one, and then passing the parameter is done like this. Okay, and then whatever you are getting, you are displaying here, and then it is wired with the component. That's why it is showing accordingly. Can you do it by yourself, or you want me to do it?
We will do it.
Okay. It should be straightforward. There should not be any problem. See, it is all same wire and apex method with the complex parameter. If you want to send multiple parameters, you can do it. See, this is how all it is working. Now we will see this a little bit in a different way, where, see, you have seen this one. Whatever we used so far, right? Whatever we used so far. So this where method, I'm getting it from into a property. Okay. So now you see, I mean, I was seeing one error, right? It was showing me just error. But if I want to do something after I get the record from apex method, in that case I should be using the function, and through the function I can do something and then assign the similar way, which means if you look at this, I am directly assigning the return type into this attribute. Okay, but I'm saying no, this time what I want to do is I want to use a function, and then in that function I want to do something and then do the associations maybe. Okay, so how it is done, take a look here. See, it says where connect. So what I'll do is I'll declare the contact here so that it is bound with my HTML. Okay, I will not use this one anymore. And what I'm doing is I'm using this one, this method. I'm using this method, and then through this method I'm getting this error and the data together. Okay, and then I'm doing something here, and you can do many things, whatever operations you want to do, you can do. Okay, but for the time being, what I'm doing is I am calling one function, and in that function I am passing the error and the data. Okay, and the if there is any data I'm checking, then assign this contact with the data I have. Okay, and then do the error as undefined because there is no error. But if there is any error, do it here accordingly. Error equal to error, and then contact equal to undefined. Okay, but here look at this one, and you notice one thing. Have you noticed, I mean, in my previous thing, in my previous HTML example, I have used contacts.data, right? Contacts.data, because the field previously what I was getting, it was with error and the data. So that's why I had to use contact.data in my example here previously when I was using the property. But as now I am using the function here, and I am directly assigning the data into the contacts, so I don't need to use this data anymore. Okay, I will not use. Is that clear, guys?
Yes, Sumant. Yes, Sumant.
Yeah. So this is how it will work. I mean, you will not see much difference here because I'm displaying the same thing, but this is the difference between using the property directly versus using a function, and then within the function you do your stuff. Because if you want to perform some additional thing, which you will see in lot of examples when you actually work, I mean, getting that getting the data directly from the apex method would not work. You may have to do some modification or the manipulation. So that's where you are doing functions. So now if I go back and do a refresh, I ideally should be, what is it? Yeah. So it is displaying, but as I am using this contact.data, that's why it is not understanding, but I have to do like this. And then if I go here and then deploy this to the source, it will display the data table as well. So if I do a refresh, I should be getting this one. Okay. So I did the same thing one using through the property direct, and one using the function, and then within that function I'm setting up the property. Okay. So whatever we have done, I have done this through the wiring. Means have seen that there is no such action that I'm doing. Soon as the component is loading, it is populating the data. Okay. So now think about it. Let's say I want to click somewhere and then only the contact should be displayed, which means I'm doing some action. So it is not done implicitly, it is imperatively done. I am doing some action, and based on that action it is being done. So that's where you have to use the imperative. Okay. So you guys, you are clear, right? I mean, the where method, where I'm using the where method through the property, and where method through the function, right? Now the next is what we will see is through the imperative. Imperative means you are doing some action, and then you are actually loading the data. Okay. So how it is done, let's see. If you look at this one, this button, right, on click, handle load, on click. So if I just take this example, for example, I take this example, imperative. See, what I'm saying is I have a button, I say load contact. Okay. And when I click on this load contact, there is a handler which is calling this function, and within this function I will do something, and then based on that I will see the data is populating here, right? So this is my HTML, and now if I go to the JS file, what will I do in the JS file? You see, yes, pay a little attention here. I'm just deleting all these things, not doing anything here. And I will just paste this one and see what is happening. I don't need the tag. and I don't need the balance. Okay. So this is my contact, right? And this is my error. And this error and contact is, I have bind this here and here, and this is my contacts. And what I'm doing here on my handle load. So based on the click of this button, I am calling this function. And what this function is doing, it is actually calling this get contact list. So now I am imperatively calling this method on a click event of a button. Okay, and then what I'm doing, I'm getting some result. Okay, and in that result, I'm using this dot contacts equal to results. Okay, and if there is any error, I'll get the error here. Okay, so let me go back and then just make sure that I have done all this thing right. So you see, this is my this dot contact, and that is my result. Okay, and I'm binding this contact here and then getting the record accordingly. Okay, so now if I just go here and then try to deploy this source. Something is missing. What is the deployment file? Any problem? Well, connect. Load context, temperature true contact, all good. Oh, sorry. So I should not be using this one because I have not created any error for that one, right? So let us not use this one. Yeah. So now if I go to the application and then I run it, so it shows me the load contact button, right? And if I click on this one, it is displaying it, right? So what is happening imperatively I am actually loading the contact. So what is happening, soon as I click on the load contact, right? Soon as I click on the load contact, it is actually coming here and then saying, okay, I want to do a function call, apex function method call, which is this. Okay, and then this is the new way of JavaScript syntax, where you can write down your results and then make the associations with your variables, right? I'll show a few of the things later in this session where you can follow all the JavaScript new patterns and practices. So here what it says, you are getting the result. So there are two ways you can get the result. One is the data itself and one is the error, right? So when you get the result, you are assigning the result to the contact. If you want to do something, let's say you want to do a for loop and then add something or do some other operations, you can do it here also. Okay, and then in the catch, I'm just using this one if at all I need to display any error. So let's see if I have deleted this one. So I could have done this if true error, then display the error accordingly. Okay, so that's how it is behaving. Okay, I think this is clear now. So now you have seen all these way of uh, calling the apex method. So one is wire method. Let's recap that one. In the wire method, what are we doing? We are trying to wire an apex method to a property, meaning I will directly bind the return of the apex method to the property, and then I will use the property in my HTML. This is called apex method, wire an apex method with a property. Hmm? Now there are places where you may need to uh, do some, I mean, pass some parameter. In that case, this is how you can do the parameterized um, apex method, where you are passing the parameter, and then you can use this way in the where method, and then again you are binding the return with the contact to the property directly. Okay, it's a complex one. Same thing. Now wire an apex method to a function. So this is the same apex method we are using, but this time they are not associating the return with the property directly. Rather, they're using one function, and within the function they are associating the property and do something else if needed. Okay, so that is the other way. So where has two ways to connect to your data. One is through the property and one is through the function. Okay, and then second one is the imperative call. Imperative call is what? You need some action to be triggered to call the apex method. So here on clicking of a button, we are calling the apex method and then getting that result and then doing the operations. Okay, so clear to everyone? Any question?
Suman.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in the imperative method, in the JavaScript file, dot then is behaving like a set callback function, right?
Yeah, set callback function, right?
Yes. Okay.
I'll explain that one later. I think that needs a little more understanding.
Okay.
I mean, there is, I think that is Mozilla MDN. If you go here, tutorials, JavaScript guide, this has all different things. So it's all set to all callback functions, but I will explain this to from here a little bit, though it is not part of our agenda. But I will, I'll do a little bit of explanation of all this, so that you can carry it with you when you write your coding. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll stop here today because there is another topic that I may, if I start now, it will take some more time. We are, I mean, we are doing good. We are going good. There is, I think, in another 2 sessions we should be done. Let me see if I can cover all these things in next 2 sessions, and then we should be good. But guys, I request you to do the LWC recipe. I mean, it has got all different component interactions, whatever we have discussed so far, plus additional things. I mean, you don't have to wait for me to, these are all given here in this developer's guide and also in the component reference. You can play with different component reference, different lightning web component, and then see how it works. Okay, and I'll show you few examples that I have used. I have created few custom components uh, to perform certain things in my project. That will give you some idea, why and how we can leverage creating generic component. That would be done in the later sessions. Okay. Uh, any question, guys, or maybe we can conclude for the day?
So Sumani, I have one doubt.
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, so in order to set the apex method cacheable is equal to true,
Yeah,
the method must only fetch the data. Means we can't we can't modify the data or edit the data. Correct?
right.
Yes. So I just want to know the logic behind this. Means why that's so?
Okay. So see, there are uh, couple of ways you can interact, right? One is the read only, and one is the data manipulation, right? Create or update, right? So when you do creations and updations, you cannot declare the method as cacheable. Okay, it has to be non-cacheable so that you can create the interactions. But when you write the cacheable, which means it is caching data into your browser, it is not going to the Apex server or the server behind to fetch the data every time. So when I'm creating the data, right? When I'm doing so, ideally, how it should work from your browser, it should go to the application server, and then this should be executed. Okay, and then when I do this one, which means it is making a database call to get the data. So there are three things. One is your browser, from your browser to your application server to the database, right? So when I'm saying the caching mechanism, so it is happening between the uh, application server and the browser. It is not going to the database. So Salesforce internally refreshing the data for this method. Now you tell me, if you are constantly using this contact, first 10 contacts, so which means you are actually looking for these 10 contacts all the time, right? There will not be much changes while you are working. So then in that case, there is no point in going to the database and then get the same record again and again. It will give a overload to the servers. That's why this method is being cached, which means the data is cached, so that soon as you request for this data, they know, okay, I do have it. Okay, now let me give you an example. Think this way. uh, let's say, Vikas, I have a restaurant. Okay,
Okay.
and and I know every Saturday night, because, or maybe let's say every day at 8 p.m., Vikas comes to my restaurant and then asks for the biryani. Okay, so now
Okay.
so now I'm first day you came. Okay, we had an introduction, and then you said I need a biryani. Uh, so I say wait for 15 minutes. Okay, and then I make the biryani and then give it to you. Next day you come again for the same biryani, same order. I said, okay, wait for 15 minutes. Okay, I will make the biryani and then give it to you. And this is happening every day. So now I see the pattern, like, because he's coming every day at 8 o'clock. Okay, and then he has to wait for some time, which means I'm consuming some resource to make his biryani. Okay, now while my other biryanis are being prepared, I know Vikas will come at 8 p.m. So soon as Vikas comes, I will give him, okay, here is your biryani. So I recognized your pattern, and then I'm internally managing myself to serve you, so you don't have to wait. and I don't have to utilize my resource. So cacheable means it is happening that way. So I know you are looking for this many records only. So I don't need to go to the database and then do the query and then get the data and then give it to you every time you make the query.
So
So
if yes, so if the data is stale, then in that scenario,
hmm.
the framework automatically retrieves the updated data or what?
Yeah. So Salesforce has a mechanism of uh, um has a mechanism of refreshing the
Mhm.
cache also, which
Okay.
we can take an example. If you want to refresh the cache, uh, in that case, if you want to refresh it, then you do it, get it from the refresh, and after a specific time, it actually refreshes to make sure that I have the right data or not. So
Okay.
one is Salesforce internally takes care of the refresh, and you can also do a refresh explicitly if you want. So the refresh that Salesforce does, that is not in our control. But if you feel like, okay, my data is uh, frequently changing, which is very rare. I mean, uh, if you are using, let's say, an application for uh, half an hour or 1 hour, and you are working on some data in the real business scenario, changing the data, okay, uh, may not be that frequent. Okay, but if you feel like, okay, no, my data changes every few seconds or every few minutes, in that case you take your mechanism to refresh the data. Okay, that's why by default it is cacheable true, but if you want to refresh, you can refresh also. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, Simon. Okay.
Okay, anything else, guys? Okay, I think we are over time now. uh, See you guys on the next week. Please do your study homework, and then um, follow all the uh, hands-on that we have given to you, the LWC recipes. Okay, and then we'll meet you next week. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.